thriving and abundance for all. I want the earth to thrive, the animals to thrive, humans to thrive.
Now, there's an ulterior motive to community. It's not just so that we can be together and have fun and live in bliss.
It allows you to take not one step along the path of 1,000 miles. It's like you do a running long jump to step 10.
Hi, and welcome to a truly exceptional episode of The Light Leaders. Today, we have the sequel, the part 2 of the ultimate living Buddhist conversation. And we have Shane Sterling, we have Professor Spira and Eli Martyr. So Shane, you're representing the Raw Vegan Rising movement. I think you have 50,000 subscribers on your channel, thousands of people in your Raw Vegan community, juicing. And Spira, you have, I think, 267,000 subscribers now on your YouTube channel. Congratulations. You've been sharing about the mucusless diet for years now and with great success. And you, Eli, I love your videos. You have 18,000 on your YouTube channel and you're doing very insightful videos. You've been a fruitarian for, I think, like 6 or 7 years. In the first episode, it was a little bit more about food where we were comparing the different diets. And of course, we went also into how that impacts the planet, how that impacts our consciousness. In the episode today, we're going to talk mainly about purpose, because I believe all of us, the reason we are really into the living foods is also to be our best self, to be in a higher consciousness and to do our best in the world. So that's exciting. I'll put chapters down below for the viewers if you want to go to the part that really interests you. Thank you for being here, to the three of you and to everyone who is watching. I'd love to start with a question that will build up on the episode we did, I think it was 1.5 years ago, which is, what have you learned or changed since the first episode we did together? I'll start with you, Spira.
What have I learned or changed? I love learning. I learn things every day. That's a good question to pin it, because I'm constantly learning new things. I'd say team building. This past 1.5 years has been a tremendous opportunity to build. Our team is building. We had some really great folks on the team that have really been stepping up, taking things to a whole different level. So there's a number of projects and things we have going on behind the scenes that can't even talk about yet, but that I learned a lot about that a lot of the work that I've done over the years, which was fairly solo. There were a lot of, when I got started doing what I'm doing, I'm totally by myself and kind of figuring things out. But now it's really nice to have a team and in a community that's really on board and supporting what we're doing. So teamwork, that's what I learned.
Teamwork. I love that. Thank you. Who wants to share next?
I'll go.
I can share. Oh, no. Okay. All right, fine. You go.
Me, then you, Eli. We're still living foodists after all this time. Loving the raw foods. So I have been doubling down on my message. I really take a no-nonsense approach to share my message relentlessly with authenticity, being highly enrolled in the truth that is raw living foods inside me. I have this truth, and I have to share it. So I've been doubling down on my ability to share it. My community, Raw Vegan Heroes, has over doubled in the last year, which is absolutely phenomenal. We've got over 5,000 members now. So yes, building team, I'm implementing infrastructure and the support to grow my business and community and network. And it all stems from me feeling like truly on purpose in my life and the work that I'm doing. Really no nonsense. I'm not passive about my message about raw living foods being optimal for humanity and how it takes us to the next level. I'm pretty adamant about it, and people respond to that. So in other words, I kind of drive a dividing line right down the middle. You're either with me or you're against me. You're either on the awakening journey to move the needle one notch further on the scale of evolution to make that evolutionary paradigm shift away from survival to abundance. Abundance in all aspects of our life, in our consciousness, in our financial well-being, in our souls, and our mission and purpose here. And as we expand it, it folds out into the world, and then it expands our circle of influence. So the more we have that certainty of purpose within us, the more it becomes contagious and it affects other people. That's why my membership, Raw Vegan Heroes, has over doubled in the last year, which is phenomenal to see. So that's just alignment is what that is. That's alignment. So I've been getting in alignment. I've been focused on alignment. I've been dedicated to alignment at all costs, which sometimes can be challenging. Sometimes it's difficult. The entrepreneurial path is challenging and brutal even sometimes, but I'm committed to it anyway. It doesn't matter how hard it is. This is my work. I'm here dedicated to it day in, day out, relentlessly, tirelessly, and I will not stop. It's my life's purpose and mission, and I will die on this hill. This is the hill I will die on. I'm creating success for myself, my team, the community, the world, bringing the truth, get off the sick foods, out of survival into abundance. Committed to it, and it's working.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Shane. How about you, Eli?
Yeah, that's awesome, guys. I really like to hear that kind of talk, Shane, because this type of lifestyle, this type of approach, it demands that we are putting our foot down and just telling it as it is, right? I'm paraphrasing, but the gates to glory are thin and narrow, and the way to despair is legion, right? There's so many ways to screw up, and there's a tight and narrow couple of ways that you can just get the glory. And those ways, you just have to say, this is how it is. You can get on board or not. So I really appreciate that message. And I will say that in terms of what has changed on my end, it's been there's always an internal process of growth going on. I think that as I explore a lot of philosophy, I really like to explore philosophy and how the mind works. And well, I on my channel recently put up a video on fasting. And the reason I went into the depth I did with this particular bout of fasting is because for whatever reason, this one was internally a bit more transformative. They're always transformative, but this one was fairly profound, and I really feel like it reconfigured things about me. Not in terms of my physical body, but in terms of just my mentality, and it put me in a better place than I was before. It just felt like something changed in my relationship to food, to eating, to life, and the willingness to go out of my way to get things that I preferred. That changed. And now there is just more of a kind of loving acceptance for anything that sustains me, even if it's not my, or what would have been my preference. So there was a shift there where there was a comfort and happiness with whatever it was. And it's a very difficult thing for me to describe. I'm trying to describe internal dynamics of the psyche, but that's just one of the ways that this reconfiguration I feel that I sensed in me as I was doing some fasting. And it was wonderful, and it was hard to describe. As you can see, it is a bit challenging for me to actually verbalize what that was. But some of these things, some of these internal spiritual mental dynamics, they can be very difficult to express with your words. But that was one of those changes. So whatever it was, there was just something that brought me to a better place mentally. And I noticed it. It was very distinct, and I really liked it for what it was. And so for that, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for that force that is beyond me that gives us the ability to make these progressions and to live this lifestyle, to have our rules, our hard principles about what we should be doing, and to stick with them, and then to see the fruits of that labor come into your life. It's just a beautiful thing, and I'm so grateful for that. And yeah, that's how I would put it in a nutshell.
Mm. Thank you so much, Eli, and thank you guys for sharing. I was secretly hoping that one of you would come out on this podcast to say they have become a carnivore since the past one, but
Right.
unfortunately, it did not
Not
happen.
gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
No.
Actually, I'll share also one thing that changed since we
Oh,
last
nice.
spoke. That was also influenced by the discussion we had, Shane, on business and purpose and the new us, which was, and I did a whole video about it, but in a nutshell, I realized like some of the paradigm I was working on were potentially too early. So for me, what has changed is I've focused more just on simple business, using like building my coaching business with fiat currency in the current system while we transition to creating the new. So thank you, Shane, for this. I'd love to get into that purpose side. Maybe starting with you, Spira. I know you've beyond the food, you've been playing with creating light cities, and so I'd love to ask you, beyond what we're doing with the food, with being healthy, what's the society you want to create with your work? Let's start with you, Spira. What does it look like?
So there are miles and miles where there is no pus and mucus eating. To be in an environment where there's no slime eating, and when you remove that, when you remove the pus and the mucus eating out of the diet, you have a fundamentally different culture, fundamentally different group of people, the mindset, the clarity of thought, the vibration. And when we get together, we have our, which Eli came to a couple years ago, our Erit Day celebrations. It's remarkable just being around other people that do what we do. And so to be able to manifest that 24 hours a day, to always be around folks that's on the same page. And when we get together and have our get-togethers, there's no fight. We don't always agree on every little thing, but the kind of fighting and the kind of vibration that you have that's normal in the pus and mucus world, that just does not exist. It's everything is flowing as it should. Unobstructedness, vitality equals power minus obstruction, the removal of obstruction. And the reason I think that so many of these communities have failed, when you look at just historically, there's been a lot of different groups and people that have tried to come together with great intentions and a good efforts, good organization. But what seems to happen time after time is, if the diet isn't on point for everybody, it's destined to fail, it seems like. And so yeah, and it's funny you bring that up, because that's part of some of the behind the scenes stuff that I can't talk too much about. But yeah, we're making some serious progress on that particular project. And like I said, the community, when I started building my particular community, it was because I saw how important it is for people to have that support and accountability. Because not everybody are loners, not everybody. It might take a handful of loners to kind of get some things started or get some things off the ground. But when it's time to start building and getting a lot more people involved, you're going to have those structures that people can plug into, and the support systems there. And so I observed that and saw that, and particularly with Mucus's diet healing system, because we are a little different than some of the other things out there. that because we're so diametrically opposed to a lot of the standardized nutritional theories and this kind of stuff, I have found it's hard for people to undo that if they have to do it by themselves. But when there's a group of people, and especially people that have been doing this thing for a long time, it definitely seems to be a lot easier.
Amazing. Thank you, Spira. Yeah, creating a community and support around it. I know that's something really important to you, Shane, and what you're building with Raw Vegan Heroes. So do you want to share also that community and how that new earth looks like to you?
I'm committed to helping empower other leaders. Primarily, that's the focus of my work. So I start doing that by my accountability group, Raw Vegan Heroes, where people can enter into a community for a low cost and seek the guidance and support of coaches in the group and a large community to learn about health and healing and detoxification of the body and how to eat raw foods to purify the mind, to get into purpose and alignment. But really behind the scenes, what I'm doing is I'm giving people the tools to come up to the next level. After health, there's empowerment in all the other areas of our life as well. So creating the new earth 5D consciousness is more than just diet. It's financial empowerment, it's empowerment with our relationships, and it is service work. So I'm dedicated out of my mind to help other people find their service work, how they can apply themselves to others who need help. So what I see it as is a pay it forward so they can pay it forward so they can pay it forward. And we grow the evolution of the consciousness from the raw vegan consciousness out by empowering other leaders. Now, people are afraid, desperately afraid of raw food, thinking that raw food makes you sick. But tens of millions of people are dying every single year across the world from cooked food and cooked food related illnesses. It's a sickness of the mind. We have microbes in our body that are ancient microbes, and they are controlling us. They dominate the way we think. They control our focus and our demand and our desires, and we're not aware of this. So we're really like enslaved. So to create a new earth, sovereignty and freedom, we have to break free from the binds, the chains of this slavery to microbes, slavery to death culture, slavery to eating dead animals, and the low consciousness and low self-esteem that comes from that. Because as long as we enslave others, we are slaves ourselves. As long as we're participating with death culture, putting death in our body, we are supporting inequality, slavery, poverty, resistance, war, pestilence around the world. So we're stuck in a loop. And to free our bodies and our minds of this loop of these microbes that demand cooked food and animal products is like an exorcism. We've invited these devils, these low consciousness entities, these imps and demons into our body through decades, generation upon generation, for thousands of years of this low consciousness vibrational thinking. The new earth requires that we have an exorcism of these microbes and these low consciousness imps out of our body, out of our mind. So we have to do that work first. And that leads us to the next levels of our empowerment. So for anybody who's struggling, not who they want to be, not stepping into their power, not leading a group, a community, having the financial abundance they deserve, struggling with health problems, weight gain, autoimmune. These are absolutely unacceptable states for the human consciousness. We deserve more than that. We're perfect in God's design, but we've gone far, far off track. The narrow path leads home. The narrow path is what gets us to our greatness. It takes discipline, focus, determination, and hard work. And we have to become comfortable with discomfort. We have to make friends with uncertainty. We have to get out of our own way and do the hard thing. The hard thing leads us to freedom. The more structure and discipline we have today, the more freedom we have tomorrow. So I empower people with this work. And in my Raw Vegan Heroes community, like I said, I empower people to do the detox because I know once they start to exercise these low vibrational imps and devils out of their body, they're going to be ready for the next step, the higher level of empowerment work. And then I have my other program that I lead, which is my business mastermind, which is a mastermind incubator for people's ideas of how they can be of service. And so I work with people one-on-one. We do a weekly Zoom meeting, and I've got about 120 people in the group right now. It's small, intimate, and powerful, as you can imagine, so powerful. We all work on our businesses, our service work ideas. So I want to see people be more successful than me. I want to see people be better communicators, better public speakers, better thought leaders than me. And I want to empower that level. And it starts with removing the microbes, removing the slavery consciousness, removing the poverty consciousness, slowly but surely elevating the consciousness through raw living foods, lifestyle, focus, discipline, structure, and a purpose and a will to live. So I give people an opportunity to reclaim their will to live. That's the focus of my work. So I'm committed to other people. I'm other focused. I'm highly enrolled in the process, in myself and my vision to do this. And I think 10,000 years out in the future. That's what I'm doing. I'm thinking 10,000 years out. Like, okay, yeah, we're doing the work today for 10,000 years out. Where are we going to be 10,000 years from now? I want humanity to be a spiritually evolved species. I want kindness, benevolence, stewardship, compassion. I want thriving and abundance for all. I want the earth to thrive, the animals to thrive, humans to thrive. I want fruit on every table across the globe. I want raw living foods to empower ourselves, our mind, our spiritual awareness. That's my vision. And I'm going to work for that vision. Whether we achieve it or not, it doesn't matter. This is the hill I'm willing to die on. So I see the promised land, and I might not get there, in this lifetime, and it doesn't matter. That's what I'm working toward. And I will work tirelessly to create and empower other leaders who will get there in future generations. That's what I'm focused on. That's my vision of the new Earth 5D.
Wow. Thank you, Shane. Super beautiful vision and dedication. I love that you share that. And as we're together sharing about this vision, I want to share with the viewer or the listener, if that's a vision you want to help us manifest, definitely like this video, comment if you want to share on YouTube. And yes, if there's some people that you feel would benefit also from listening to this, please share this video. When you like, comment, and share, obviously, that's how we create more empowering video platform, social media platform that has content that really empowers people and helps people. And as a sideline, I'm doing now coaching to help people start a podcast, because that's how we can, in that day and age, have more impact and shift our timeline towards the new earth that we want to see. So I'm really passionate about helping older light leaders to start their podcast and shine their light and shine on the other lights in front of them, like having amazing conversations like this. So if you want to start your podcast and you're a leader of the new earth, definitely hit me up. There's a link in the description, and you can hang with your heroes like we're doing here. Next is you, Eli. I'd love to ask you also what is that new earth, more conscious looking like for you?
Well, you guys have nailed it. And I guess I would say the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, right? As the axiom goes. And in the case of the simple step, the very simple step of modifying, changing the type of food that comes into your system, I honestly feel that just that step alone, just that foundational step, it allows you to take not one step along the path of 1,000 miles. It's like you do a running long jump to step 10. It's this incredible boost to what I would call the only, not the only, but one of the most important types of development that you could make, which is the development of your own conscious evolution. That is probably something that everybody needs to put more focus on, because in so doing, you solve virtually every other problem around you, or at least you come to a better place in being able to solve problems around you that don't seem immediately related to that path. But it is related. And it's just this simple foundational step. Spira spoke about mucus, right? Just mucus plaguing the system. Just that step alone of removing your body's necessity to constantly produce mucus, to nullify the effects of the nonsense that we're bringing into ourselves. When you stop tasking your body to do that, so many things in your life, just from that one simple step, start to improve. Your organization improves, your cleanliness improves, your relationships improve. Old friends who weren't really friends, they move away. New friends who are better resonating with this new energy, they come in. All these structural changes to your life happen with the tiniest simple step. Shane, you were talking about creating leaders. Just by doing this step, just by teaching people like you are about this first critical step, it's almost like they're thrown into leadership positions, regardless of whether they choose to or not, because they're operating in a world that is not in alignment with that. And by default, you set yourself up as a leader. That's just an obligation that is going to hit you, and be ready for it, because you don't have a choice when you start really, really cleaning yourself up and being exemplary in the world. And all this starts with just this very basic first step. And it's aligning what goes into your temple with what the spirit wants in a temple to operate in, right? And all these developments spring forth from that. It's a beautiful thing when you see it, when you take your first breaths that are unencumbered by no mucus plaguing your system. It's a wild ride. It's such an experience. And the problem is, I'll wrap up in just a second here. The problem is, Shane, you mentioned it, people don't know that there is this side of them that exists. They don't know. They've never been shown. They've never been taught. There's no experience that they have in their lives to lead them to that conclusion that this is something that. So they just don't believe you when we're talking about all these wonderful changes. They just don't believe you. But it's there. That is the potential. That is our inheritance. It's just up to us whether we want to claim that or not.
Yeah, it's like they're stuck in the delusion, and that'd be a question I'd have for the two of you, or all three of you, is that, like, yeah, what are creative ways that you use to get people out of the delusion? Because as we've seen, Socrates, he had trouble. he tried to wake some people up, and they didn't take kindly to it. There's a lot of people that have tried to wake people up, and they didn't appreciate the effort. But yeah, I'm known for sharing the mucus with everybody. And as a wake up call that this is inside of you, and if you have problems, you don't feel good, your back hurts, your joints hurt, and maybe you got to get this out of you and see if you feel better. But yeah, the delusion is deep. I just watched that documentary on it was whatever it was called, the Starting Five, or the basketball thing. And it's I'm a documentary person. I like watch of all different genres, and that's how I can stay connected to mainstream, so I can still communicate with people, because I don't really participate in a lot of mainstream things. And but it's just fascinating to see people spend so much time and energy investing themselves into cheering for a sport that they're not doing. They got their beer and their hot dog, and they're so passionate, they appear to be. They're just like, go Boston, go Heat, or whatever. And it's just like, the powers that shouldn't be did a wonderful job getting people stuck in that delusion, putting so much effort into that, because if you put half of the amount of effort that a lot of folks put into these little distractions into your physiology and cleaning yourself up, you could be walking on water in a few years. Who knows? They've just done a beautiful job taking people's energy and putting people's focus in total lunatic areas that help nothing, that just destroy everything. So yeah, I'm curious what you guys do to help wake people up.
So my tool that I use to help wake people up without them realizing it is juice fasting. Now, people are interested in cleanses. Most people understand the idea of going on a cleanse. Like if they're eating hot dogs and drinking beer at the game, most people are going to be aware, oh, I need to like cleanse out a little bit. I don't feel so good. Maybe I'll do a smoothie cleanse for a day or two, right? So I take it a step further and I give people the tool, the protocol to follow for a 40-day juice fast to remove mucoid plaque. So they're like, okay, I'll try this cleanse. I talk it up. The Raw Vegan Heroes community, of course, everybody's doing it. So there's this big celebratory energy around it. People try it. Okay, somebody joins my group and they see thousands of other people doing this. They're like, okay, I'll try it. But what happens when you do a 40-day juice fast, your body is flooded with nutrition and hydration and enzymes and phytonutrients, cleansing the bowels and plaque and biofilm and mucus out of the body. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, you might have a spiritual awakening. You might have big epiphanies come to you that you didn't realize. And that's actually what happened to me. The first time I did a 40-day juice fast, I had this huge epiphany come over me that I was supposed to switch careers and become a juice fast coach. And at the time, I was running retail clothing stores. I was deeply embedded. I had 3 retail clothing stores, making a lot of money, very successful clothing stores. I sold them all to do coaching, to become a coach, and to help with the new earth, to help wake people up, because I knew how rewarding that would be to do that work. So I made the conscious choice to jump ship from this other mundane kind of paradigm to a completely wide open field of potential of waking people up with cleansing and juice fasting. So now I expect when people do this 40-day juice cleanse, they're going to have a spiritual epiphany. They're going to have a spiritual awakening. They're going to be permanently changed forever for the rest of their life. It sets a new high bar. Now, even if they go back to the old way, even if they go back to hot dog and beer, drinking and eating, they're going to remember that high bar and they're going to say, wow, that'll permanently set a new high bar in their life that permanently shifts the consciousness to a higher level consciousness. And they have that seed within them. So whether their lifetime, that seed blooms and blossoms and grows is irrelevant. We plant the seeds, and then it germinates in due time. All the fruit will ripen at its due time. So my goal is to just plant that seed. And then, of course, I provide next level steps for people when they're ready. And then they have that spiritual awakening and they're like, oh, I need next steps. Okay, got you, ready to go for next steps. And, I think this is a prison planet, honestly. I think planet Earth, love planet Earth. Hey, I'm a fan. I live here. This is my home. But I think it's a prison planet. I think there's powerful dark forces at work to keep our consciousness enslaved. I don't think the powers that be that produce sports events and the mainstream medical narratives, the mainstream sports and nutrition narratives are benevolent. I think it's a malicious attempt to control and manipulate people. And I think we have to be smart enough to stay out of that world and into the spiritual warrior world. How do we stay spiritually focused, ready to do the battle of good and evil within ourselves, to be the warriors that shift that energy, and we do that through lifestyle, and we do that through keeping those foods out of our body at all costs. As comfortable as they are, as delicious as they are, as addictive as they are, they numb us out and they stimulate us at the same time. So we're stimulated and we're dumbed down, and we become highly dependent on these stimulant numbing foods. And we think that's normal. We get the Stockholm syndrome, where we become sympathetic with our captors and we defend our captors at all costs, tooth and nail, to the death. People often, in my social media outreach that I do, people will often send me death threats. I literally get death threats at least once a week. I get people giving me the middle finger emoji, wishing me harm, extreme negativity and extreme violence in the comments that I get on my social media. And that represents to me the violence that people take into their body and that they're living with every day. Eating animals is a violent act. Killing animals is a violent act. When we take that violence into our body, we're living in violence. We're living imprisoned, disempowered, numbed out, stimulated in violence. And we will defend it to the death. That's the prison planet system right there. We got to get out of that system right there. And we do it through cleansing the bowels. That's my message, is cleanse the bowels. Spira, we have a similar message. Get the mucoid plaque out of the bowels. Focus on removing mucoid plaque. And to accomplish the goal of removing mucoid plaque will change your life. That goal alone will shift you. It'll change you. It switches the neural associations between the gut and the brain, shifts the microbes. And that gives you a different consciousness. It all of a sudden like changes the superhighway connection and opens up a higher cognitive function in the mind, improving intuition, clairvoyance, clairaudience, intuition, and gives us that deeper sense of the divine within us and our connection to it. So just the focus of removing mucoid plaque is the perfect path to start on. And I drill that message home. Every single YouTube video I make, I mention it and I talk about it because I can't not share that as a first step. It's so powerful, so transformative, and it's the tool that I use to help wake people up. Wake up, people.
Amazing. Thank you, Shane. I'd love to rebound on that because it's really beautiful what the three of you have shared around the connection between the food and leadership. So when Shane, you're talking about like, okay, people come because they want to cleanse their body. And it's like a more shallow goal. But then as they do that, they raise their consciousness. They have an experience of how vibrant they could be that they will remember. And then, Eli, what you shared also is that there's that level of leadership from what I understood, but that came to me when you shared is by doing this, you have to be a leader because you're in a world that goes against it. So you have to stand for yourself. So just sometimes people start something, oh, I'm going to do a cleanse, and they don't realize, as you guys said, that, oh, all these things that come with it, I need to stand for what I want to do in a world that tries to distract me from it. And I'll have new experiences of consciousness. And all of these things happen as a byproduct. So that's why I love that you have that entry through the food. Actually, for me, it was similar with meditation. About 7 years ago, I started meditation because I wanted to be more focused and productive. But of course, meditating every day, there's a shift in consciousness that happens that my past ego didn't see coming. So it's interesting to have those byproducts. Another thing I'd like to rebound on what you shared, Shane, is like that more dualistic view, like let's say of people wanting to enslave us. I'm wondering what's the feeling here, because in my opinion, it's like I like that view also that it's actually unconsciousness. I'm not that convinced that there are people that necessarily be like, okay, let's enslave them with the wrong food. I think these people in themselves have not very high consciousness. That, like when I was eating meat, I was never thinking about food and the animals and all this. So I'm thinking, what is the view here? Do you feel there's more like a battle with people that really want to keep us enslaved? Or do you feel it's more that just people are unconscious, they run a company, their shareholders ask them to make money, and they just unconsciously try to sell McDonald's and do their job as a CEO this way? Yeah, Eli.
Well, okay, so here's what I'll say. I've been working in the film industry for quite a while now, right? So growing up as a kid, I was always very, very inspired by culture, right? By the arts, by performance, by athletics. This was really inspiring for me. And as the metaphor goes, it kind of breaks down because it doesn't really make sense that you would fight fire with fire, because if you do that, the whole bloody thing just burns down, right? So as a metaphor, it kind of falls apart. But as with many relationships in nature, when I say nature, I just mean in reality. Okay, so as with many of the higher transcendental truths, you find these paradoxes that are seemingly incorrect, but somehow end up working out to be true. So these social engineers, social manipulators, subversive agents that are working against the development of humanity that Shane was referring to. These individuals, what they realized early on in the game, right? So after the scientific revolution, creeping into the 20th century, we made a discovery. When I say we, I mean these manipulators made a discovery. What they discovered is that overt warfare doesn't work as well. And they needed a way to get access to the human mind so that it was ready and willing, and not only ready and willing, but excited to enslave itself. And that's the shift, the pivotal shift that was made when we got into this realm of critical theory, cultural Marxism, where we're infiltrating culture and pouring into that all sorts of subversive, psychologically confusing, just everything that detracts from value. What they want to do is they want to pour that into culture, make it normal, and thus the population will just destroy themselves. And that is what we are seeing. Everything that is developed now is a result of culture being used as a weapon, as an assault weapon, okay, in mental form, in cultural form. And so many of the videos I've made on my channel, again, go figure, the stunt guy likes to be a bit dramatic, cinematic, right? I've found that, and I think that in this case, it would be very, very good of us to be mindful of the fact that culture changes populations, culture changes people. And that is the weapon that the enemy, in their insane intelligence, their absolutely ridiculous coordination and intelligence. You can't believe how intelligent these people are that run the show like this. The real social engineers up there. They use culture because that's the most expedient way to gain access to the mind. And so when we're talking about counteracting that, it would behoove of us to say, maybe we should use culture and the arts and entertainment, whatnot, to do the exact opposite, to start undoing some of that damage. And so that's always something that I've been playing with in a small part. I try to get a little bit of that essence into many of my videos. Some of my more successful videos, the ones that I always get feedback on, hey, this video literally changed my life, without fail, they're the ones that were more cinematic, the ones that were more made better use of emotionally charged combinations of music and actions, as if I was telling like a cinematic story, right? Though when we interact with those are immediately more impressing on the mind than just someone rhyming off whatever, you just information, okay? And so we have an opportunity there to, in whatever way we can, maybe coming together to use culture, to use the arts as a way to infuse into the arts the messages that we all want to deliver to people, to elevate our minds and to ignite conscious evolution. So we can use the arts against these subversive agents. And that is probably a very good way to go about it, because when we use the arts, you just access the mind in a way that is not as easy to come by just by hurling information at them, right? So anyway, I just wanted to say that. And also for me, just being exemplary, just making sure that you are seen, loving your life, loving the food that you're eating, and just let people see that. You don't need to say a damn word, because the energy is obvious, right? The effect is just obvious. And when people see that, a consciousness is able to recognize value when it sees it. You don't need any training. No human needs any training to recognize value where it's in the environment. And when you encompass that in your life, in your energy, in your demeanor, in your character, right, in your vitality, it speaks louder than any lecture, any word. People can recognize it, and then they ask you questions, right? What do you do? How, Eli, explain this to me. How are you like this, right? People want to know. These are things that you hear. So anyway, being exemplary, and of course using culture, because that's the weapon they use against us. So we should throw it back in their face. So that's one thing that I think is going to be very helpful in the coming years for all of us to be mindful of.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, the happy, we were talking about the happy slaves. That's what I call it, the happy slave syndrome, and trying to help wake people up. My answer to the question is, and I'm real simplistic with it, I'm real basic, it's constipation. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Cellular constipation. Because what I see, because I know there's a lot of people get excited about, and I'd only go so far down some of the rabbit holes, but when I look at these people that are supposed to be our oppressors and running the show, they're sick as they're horrible condition. You would think the billionaires that are supposed to be running our lives, that if they were really that sophisticated and they were that smart and they had that's kind of access to information, that they would look years younger, they would be in great shape. I don't want to end up like Ronald Reagan, George Bush Sr., Clinton. But these are the people we're taught we're supposed to look up to. We're supposed to be like them, that they did whatever, the heights of humanity and the most powerful, so-called powerful people in the world. They end up in a situation they can't even go to the bathroom on their own. They need help to get dressed. So that's a power struggle. I don't want to have nothing to do with that. And so that's when I look at that and I'm like, the same thing that are taking out the people that are being oppressed is taking out the oppressor. So what we like to say is you can't complain about your oppressor when you eat and live just like them. So I've come at this thing is revolution. I've said often the most revolutionary thing that you can do is learn to control what you put into your body. Because I don't care if you're on food stamps, I don't care if you're in an underdeveloped country or wherever you're at, you can have autonomy and agency in terms of what you put in your body. It might not be the easiest depending on your circumstances, but you can't let that be an excuse. Because whatever situation, I've worked with people all over the world, people that would barely have enough infrastructure to have internet connection, but they're still able to do things at the level of whatever they have access to. They can still practice this lifestyle at a certain level. And so to me, there's no excuse. And part of this leadership that we're talking about, that Shane's talking about, Eli, is getting over the fear of worrying about what other people think about you and ruffling feathers and being cast out of the tribe and all of this mental wiring that's no longer useful to us in modern day society, to learn how to let that go. And this path does it whether you like it or not. If you want to be on this path and if you want health, if you want physiological liberation, then you're going to have to confront those fears. You're going to have to confront. I see with some people, their greatest fear is telling a friend, no, I don't want to go to the club with you. No, I don't want to go to the restaurant. No, I can't go to the bar tonight. I've seen more people fail because it was so hard for them to tell loved ones, no, thank you. Because I don't teach people to be mean. You don't have to be mean and disrespectful. No, thank you is all that's all that's necessary. but you gotta have enough
Balls.
fearlessness, balls. There you go. You gotta have the balls to be able to do that.
Thank you so much, Shane. And I like what you share about our leaders being constipated, because I've I've been in, because I like to think of our leaders actually reflecting the consciousness and the leaders that we agree that are leaders, right? So it's like I've been into some rabbit holes in the conspiracy theory world about the lizards or this or that, the cabal, etc., which I'm not invalidating, but at some point I feel there is an empowering part of knowing what's going on, but there's also a disempowering part where you forget that you create your reality through your consciousness, where you forget that where you put your attention, you're going to create your world from that. And so, yeah, I love that you share that, because I think the leaders are actually a representation of the consciousness of people that agree that they're leaders, and ultimately that, we can be in our power and realize that we just give authority to these people rather than being like, oh, these people here are preventing me from doing this or that. And I want to honor that we said we wanted to do a 1 hour today, and there's a question that I'd like to ask each of you. So unless there's something really pressing on that topic, I'd love to go to that closing question, which is for each of you. I would love to ask you, so the three of you, you're very on purpose. And where do you see your business and your impact? Let's go long term. Let's say 10 years from now. Shane, you start.
My vision and my goal is to be able to replace myself in my business, to have an exit strategy so my business can live beyond me. Yes, I'm a powerful influencer. I can show up on camera and affect people and get them to change and take action because I'm a motivational speaker and I can impact people that way. And that's great. But when I die, I want to leave my legacy. I want to make sure the legacy of my work lives on beyond me. So I'm working to create an exit strategy in my business so that my business lives beyond me. Now that requires, a system of getting people in through leads, creating leads for the business, and also support for members and community without me being present. So that's a big undertaking, because a lot of people in entrepreneurship and business create a job for themselves. And I'm really good at that. I'm really good at creating jobs for myself, very, very successful jobs for myself. But creating a business that can sustain without me is the new frontier of my focus and my goal as my highest legacy to leave on this earth. And I really feel like I need to achieve it in this lifetime, because if I was to die today, my business would die with me. And that's not acceptable. But my business is still in a fairly early stage of its development. So yes, it's kind of like my baby. I'm nurturing this business up. But I know the path I need to take, which is to leave the legacy, and to leave that legacy of hope and celebration and purpose and fulfillment. We all need to step into that new level of purpose and fulfillment in our lives, and we need the support system and the tools to do that. So that's my goal. My vision is to have world experts and leaders come in and do trainings and presentations in Raw Vegan Heroes every week on the live streams, and to have the world's top plant-based doctors and raw vegan influencers and people of interest on the topic of plant-based eating and detoxification come in and train. And the level of revenue that is generated by sales into Raw Vegan Heroes pays these people handsomely. So everybody gets paid, everybody gets support, everybody gets taken to that next level in their life. So that's my personal edge of growth that I'm working on, to create a business that lives beyond myself as my legacy. So I'm enrolled in that vision for myself. And really, it's creating vegans for the future. Because deep down, what drives me, my deep driver, is as long as there's any slavery on the planet, I'm a slave as well. I'm the one who is in that suffering as well. We're only as strong as the weakest link. So my goal is to take the weakest link and work towards strengthening that. And right now I see the weakest link on planet Earth as the factory farming system, which creates inequality, poverty, classism, slavery, misery, and suffering, not only for the animals, but for ourselves on a subconscious, psychological, metaphysical level. And this actually ties into that last conversation we were having, which is, yes, we take full responsibility for what we create on this planet. We are not being afflicted, controlled, or manipulated by anyone except what we invite into our body. And we can invite dark energies, manipulative energies. We can invite the earthly angels or the earthly devils into our body. We make that choice every single day. And so if we are making choices that empower us, we get empowering results and vice versa. So we have to understand that we are the sole creators of our destiny and our reality 100%. And I see world leaders taking the pleasure trap, going down the road of toxicity and that suffering path. We are locked in to animal agriculture suffering on this planet like our lives depended on it. And it is such a sickening, miserable genocide that has robbed the well-being of every living creature on Earth because it's in a consciousness level. So I believe humans actually have this great responsibility to change the spiritual paradigm shift of how the Earth even operates. This is a little metaphysical, but I believe if humans were to shift it within ourselves, where we just stopped consuming animals, that the whole Earth could shift. Possibly all carnivore animals on the Earth could shift, right? We see the images of the lions laying down with the lambs. What if humans hold the potential for a huge physiological, spiritual paradigm shift where carnism doesn't need to exist on planet Earth? We can live in this beautiful Earth terrarium without carnism on any level. That's a hope and a vision that I pray for. And so that's why I'm focused. The deep driver for me is to promote a plant-based diet that is sustainable long-term through detoxification and raw foods. So we don't even play that game of going back to eating animals at all, because maybe one day we could get to the place where lions and lambs and humans lay together in perfect harmony and peace for a kind, benevolent future, for the real future of humanity. That's what I see. And like I said, a promised land, I might not get there. I might not ever see any glimpse of that in my lifetime, but that's what I'm working toward.
Thank you so much, Shane. Very beautiful. And I'd love to rebound on the predator side, like when you say the lion sitting with the lamb. I did a few episodes actually, with a guy named Josh X. I don't know if you know him, but also a very high conscious being and really interesting. And he loves to look at the words. And when you look at the word predator, it's like it's a predator, it's like from before. And so that new us is also with the lion laying next to the lamb. What you shared around the raw vegan heroes and having the specialists coming there, I would say from my experience with the podcast also, maybe consider having conversations like these or debates. I know on my YouTube channel, these are the episodes that have done the best. So I'm still not huge, so I'm seeing what's possible. But for example, I had Dr. Moss 2 weeks ago. I was like, oh, that could be interesting to have Dr. Moss and Lou Corona, for example. One more Fruitarian, one more. That's what I did with you guys also at the beginning with Fruitarian, mucusless, raw vegan, or maybe Dr. Moss with Dr. Greger on the cooked food and all this. And I think having these panels can be super interesting too. And last thing I wanted to share is when you talk about exiting your business, like usually in the old, like until AI, it would be you find other people to do the tasks. But now there's something really interesting. I was watching the Instagram of a gentleman called Jason Silva, and he's playing with AI, now interviewing people that are either alive or dead. And if they have enough videos or information to train the model, you can have a conversation with them. So potentially, Shane, you have so many videos already on YouTube. You could now already, if you're more advanced or if you want to make it more easy, maybe a year from now, you could train a large language model to become you. And so people could get coached
I like that
by
idea.
you, even if you're not there.
I can live on through AI. Yes, just learn my model and I will live in eternity. This is true. We're probably going there with AI, actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I already do that. I go on to ChatGPT and be like, hey, imagine you're Dr. Morse and I'm asking you questions. And I told Dr. Morse he could do that too with his thousands of videos. Anyway, there can be a discussion on AI that we won't go into now. But Eli, I'd love to hear what's the grand vision? How do you see your impact, your business, your purpose unfolding in 10 years?
When I started this journey, this path, I think one of the advantages, this is something I get asked all the time, how was it so easy for you, or was it easy for you to make these transitions and to live it with such comfortable faith and conviction? It seemed that I was somewhat unique in that sense. This is a question I get all the time. And one of the answers that I generally provide is because I was very, very aware of my obligation, like a job-like obligation and a responsibility to something higher than myself, something that was in charge, an authority from somewhere else that I was absolutely obligated to respect and revere and take care of, right, to the best of my ability. And that's an obligation that all human beings have, but many don't know that they have that obligation and responsibility. And I was just one of those individuals that was willing to completely surrender and accept the authority that came from something higher and do what I could to be a good agent for that authority. I think that there are many ways we could encapsulate with a succinct phrase what the problem is here on the earth. But I will try to do that by saying godlessness. In fact, just the word godlessness is one of the biggest problems facing humanity right now. It's actually one of the most fundamental aspects of the human mind, of the human psyche, that the manipulators are going after. Remove any sort of reverence for a higher authority other than man and mankind's intelligence and intellect. That is targeted as the new god of the future. That's what the manipulators want. And they want to take God and rip him off the throne and say, no, we are the masters, we are the creators, we are the gods. So that's the problem. And with the removal of that higher authority from our culture, you get all the multifaceted problems that are going on right now in society. All of them. Because when you remove God from the picture, you lose value, you lose respect, you lose empathy, you lose all of it. You just have, it's just this domino effect of all of the worst afflicting humanity. And so much of it is repaired when we come back home, back to the realization that there is an authority that whose rules you do need to obey. But we have a problem because we are offended by the fact that there is someone who has rules that we need to follow. Oh no, I'm independent. I'm in charge of my life. Yeah, well, good luck. All right? Good luck trying that in the creator's world. You're in the game. Imagine you designed a video game and designed all these characters and NPCs and whatnot. And then imagine one of those NPCs in the video game saying, you know what? I don't want to be part of this video game anymore. Too bad. You're part of the game. And the creator, the video programmer in this analogy, made you, designed your programming to do all the things that you're able to. You don't have a damn choice, right? It's the same thing. So I'm just going to kind of simplify this and say I'm willing to accept whatever unfoldment occurs in my life if I accept a responsibility just to simply be an agent for the value of creation and life, right? So whatever unfoldment comes, that's what I'm happy with. Because as of right now, there's two different ways, two different directions that I'm using to support my life, and I have this wonderful, and it's been very uplifting, and it still continues to be, career in film. And there's potential there to be able to use that to work in some capacity in this avenue. And then there's also this direction now, of course, in the raw food community, in the health and healing community. And so there are these two things that are supporting me, and it's been a fantastic fit in my life. Anyway, long story short, I'm willing to be an agent. I think I like to, in my mind, stylize myself as just a vehicle through which I can translate understandings from whatever I have the ability to relate to people about the nature of creation and life. And the most basic way that we can do that is, again, with what you guys have been talking about, raw foods, right? Putting into your body what's best. That's our best foundation. I know we don't have time. I'd like to. I would share some quotes from some apocryphal texts, which all. I won't do it now. We don't have time because Spira's got to speak. But anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much, Eli. And yeah, we'll get Spira to close on this, and I'll share last word for the viewer that thank you so much for still being with us. So I guess you loved this. And again, if you want to support, you can like, comment, and share this video with people, so you help also us spread the message. This is a co-creation, not just the four of us, but also with the viewer and the listener. So thank you for that. And now we will close with you, Spira. And how does it look like in 10 years when everything that you're doing with your purpose, your business is flourishing? What does it look like?
10 years. So my 3 pillars on that path is, number 1 is blood. Transforming my blood, cleaning up my blood on a fundamental level. And that's the one thing that you can't teach AI to be blood. There's not going to be able to figure that out. The way that we are going to perpetuate ourselves as a species is through the blood. If we're going to elevate the species at all, it's going to have to happen through the blood, through cleaning up the blood, the human body. Pillar number 2 is community. And that's what for many years, I've talked about wanting to create the arid village, or the mucus-free sanctuary, place where like-minded people practice the mucus diet healing system, get together and live in peace and harmony. Now, there's an ulterior motive to community. It's not just so that we can be together and have fun and live in bliss amongst people that aren't constipated and smell like feces. The ulterior motive is I want to start a family. I want to have children. So look at what I did. First, I didn't have children first, and then, let me try to find a community. Let me try to clean myself up. I get calls from people, from mothers and folks that are like, I'm pregnant, or I just got a woman pregnant. Should I be fasting? Can I cleanse myself now? It's like, you're a little late, So when I say clean up my blood, cleaning up the blood first, then creating a community, creating a village, then create a family. and that community and that village can help raise this family and co-raise together. And that, for me, is the game changer, because so often in the raw food spaces, people talk about it's very egotistical, it's very self-absorbed. This is what I want to do. I'm going to fast for 1,000,000 years, and I'm going to do this, and I'll be immortal and all this kind of stuff. And that doesn't impress me as much as if you're talking about, if you're looking at generations downward, if you can clean yourself up a little bit, have some children, raise them in a cleaning manner, then they have children with other children that are cleaning themselves up. By the time you get 2 or 3 generations down, now we can start talking about the eradication of human illness, that where we're having children that will never be able to even understand what we mean when we talk about the kind of diseases that we've experienced or that we've observed. It's not going to happen in a few years and just us trying to be whatever, as clean as we want to be. This is going to be a generational transformation. But this is how you evolve the species from Homo sapien to Homo spiritus, because the Homo sapien thing barely survived. We've had all these, I always laugh at these people that want to be I want to be a Neanderthal. It's like they died. They didn't make it. Why do you want to be like an extinct species? And this Homo sapien, if we don't cultivate and elevate our species, that sapien thing ain't going to last that long. But I think now that we have the tools and the information we can, through generations and through proper cleansing, we can fundamentally transform the human species. And so the bad news for the world that I do see a stark divide, to where there's going to be those of us that's on this side that are interested in cleaning ourselves up and trying to go down this path of the new earth, as you call it, and step into that reality. And then on the other side, we're going to see even more extreme diseases, constipation, man versus food, all of these Facebook and YouTube videos where people are stuffing themselves in the mukbang cultures and all this kind of stuff. That's going to get even worse. But as we see the trends, these folks are getting heart attacks in their 40s and their 30s. Folks are dying in their 20s. There's all kinds of heart disease at 18. So we see that the folks that are on that path, the Mother Nature is going to phase that part of the Homo sapiens species out. And I don't want to be dark or the bearer of bad news, because I know a lot of people have the savior thing. They think that if we can just touch everybody, we can. It's like, no, if my thing is, if we can touch the people who are ready to be touched and are ready to go on this journey, that will be enough. And I want to get out of the way of the train that's about to go off the track. I'm gonna step out of the way, let that thing do whatever it needs to do, and then, as they say, the meek will inhabit the earth. We'll be able to live in peace and harmony, like Shane's talking about. Let's transition. If the crown of creation, which was supposed to be humans, if we get ourselves together and we get in alignment, then the animals follow suit. And we see it. It's not even like we're just making this up. You can go into the old mythologies, or you can go to somebody's local animal sanctuary. It's the reality is here. There's a reason why when I'm doing my walks in the woods, deer just walk up to me. I don't see but if I see them out walking with other people, it's funny, because this guy was was walking, looked like a big old meat eater, and that whole family of deer ran away like they were just like, so the principles are here, the information is here. What I encourage people to do is to plug in and begin, as we said earlier, begin with cleaning yourself up, clean up your blood, clean out your colon, get yourself just have a moment of clarity, have a moment of peace and feeling good in your body, because most people don't feel good in their body. They think when you say comfort food, well, that's constipation food. You're not really comfortable. You're in pain. And when people are taking drugs, they're in pain. And you have to remove the residues and the poisons out of your system so that you can act. Most people don't even know what it feels like what Eli just went through his fast. They don't know what that feels like to not be stimulated, to not grab something and stimulate themselves to run. You know, I can't even believe they create this coffee thing, this coffee myth. They created this whole thing where people are addicted to this. They can't function properly without this bit of stimulant. We're not supposed to operate like that. We're not supposed to be addicted to anything like that. So start cleaning yourself out, getting yourself together, and we can transform this planet in the way that it's supposed to be transformed, and just elevate, get ourselves together.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Spira. And yeah, I love what you shared.
Alex?
Yeah. Just on this, like, I love what you shared with the deer coming, and what Shane shared about the lion and the lamb makes me think of there's a book called the Anastasia series by a guy called Vladimir Megre. It's a Russian one, but it describes really beautifully the nuance. So if you want to read Anastasia, that's a great book, and she lives very in harmony with nature and the wolf and all this and the bears. Yeah. Sorry, Eli. Yeah.
No problem. Yeah, very, very quickly. You guys are fantastic. You guys are all so valuable. You really do speak from an internal recognition of truth, and it's very clear, and I love it. So much depth and so much value in what you're sharing. I I really worry that AI will never be able to encapsulate and capture the essence of what you guys have been talking about. Man, I don't see that ever. That's not going to happen. I hope AI never takes over. It's just gonna be a nightmare. Shane, you'll be talking about, how you can take this critical first step, do a 40-day juice fast, guys. It's gonna improve your lives, and then all of a sudden AI just takes over and says, yeah, but also have a little Jaguar gallbladder toothpaste, and that's gonna clean your teeth out. And then back to juice fasting. It's just gonna mess things up. I hope it never happens. But anyway, yeah, you guys are fantastic. So thank you. I appreciate this.
Thank you, Eli. And Shane, do you want to share last thing, like in a minute or two before I close?
Yeah, everything that was shared here today is really great, really inspiring. I have a lot of respect for Spira and Eli and you too, Alex. Thank you so much, Alex, for bringing us together. Love you guys. Thank you for sharing your hearts and your truth. We're all obviously on a similar spiritual awakening path. I can really feel that and see that in everything that's been shared today. And I just really encourage everyone to seek accountability on their journey. We can't transform alone. No one ever transformed alone. The lone wolf syndrome keeps us down, keeps us oppressed, and it is trained into us from our caregivers who were also disempowered with low self-esteem from previous generations to say that you must do it alone. You're stronger alone. You have to prove that you can do it alone. And that's one of the Achilles heels of the human psyche. We buy into that, but the lone wolf syndrome will never get us to the next level of our success. We need to plug into a community, into accountability, join Spira's community, join my community, join whatever community you can get with like-minded people to create intentionality and support with every step you take. That's the level you need to get to. That's the path to success. Mentorship gets you from where you want to go to where you want to be. Mentorship has been the most transformative thing in my life. Mentorship has really taken me from a disempowered, emasculated, sick, lost individual to the highest level of empowerment that I've ever imagined for my life. Mentorship did that for me. And so I believe in mentorship above all else. It's the path that we're looking for. It's not always, the next step isn't always buying food for your fridge or restocking your pantry or like trying to make big lifestyle changes. Sometimes the next step is to just apprentice with somebody, listen to how they think, pick up on the vibe, pick up on the words and the mentality. And that's what we brought here today, you know, something for people to pick up on and to lean into that. You don't need to know what the next steps are. You don't need to know how to go raw vegan. You just need to lean in to where the vibe is, where the people are who are talking about it. That's my message for everyone.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Shane.
So
And
thank you.
obviously, we'll put the link in the description to your website. And also, I think with you guys, I've done already many episodes. So if you go on the Light Leaders channel and you type any of your names, you'll see we've done solo episodes, we've done Q&As, we've done debates, group conversations like this with you guys. So you can definitely dig deeper on this channel and on everyone's website. And again, if you want to support, share, like, subscribe. Thank you so much to the three of you. It's been my honor to host this conversation. Thank you so much for the viewer or the listener. And I hope everyone has a beautiful, blessed day. Much love.